Welcome aboard, everybody, to this Sunday edition of OG55 Live. We are taking your questions. I got the Italiano with me today. Up next on OG55 Live. Welcome aboard, everybody, to this edition of OG55 Live on this fantastic Sunday afternoon or evening, wherever you reside. Before we get started, actually, we have a birthday in the house. Mr. Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. Today is his birthday. Matthew, George and I and the whole entire OG55 crew want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. Everyone in the chat, if you could show some birthday love to Mr. Matthew Murr, we would appreciate it. Matthew is a longtime friend of the channel, and we absolutely adore Matthew. So, Matthew, I hope you are having a fantastic, fantastic birthday. Italiano, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. And yes, to echo your statement, definitely happy birthday, Matthew. We hope you have a awesome, magical time, as they like to say in the Disney community. And you know what's great about birthdays, OG? I don't think I even need to say it.
Well, the best thing about birthdays is all the right. So yes, everyone, happy birthday to Mr. Matthew Murr. Seymour Duck in the house. We have Teo in the house. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, George, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram and Threads under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. We're going to start off right out the gate. Mr. Seymour Duck with a $5 super chat. Mr. Duck, thank you so much. Family here on the channel, we love Mr. Duck. Thank you so much, Seymour. Just finished my long overtime today. Time to relax with some OG55 Live before my work weekend starts. Let's fucking go. Seymour, it is always awesome to have you. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Mr. Trip Johnson is in the house. Me again. Now, Trip, you did ask a question in the chat, and I know you've asked it a couple times now in a few lives about which studio had a worse year, Lionsgate 2024 or Disney 2023. I'm going to save your question, and I'm thinking about maybe doing like a standalone video with George. Maybe we'll have like Seymour on that video, and we'll break that down. I haven't looked into Lionsgate enough to make to have an informed opinion on that. So I don't want to speak on something that I'm not really familiar with. So we're going to look into that, and then we'll do like
a very interesting show. We could kind of maybe take like several film studios and do like a bunch of comparisons.
Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking about doing, Trip. So I did save your question, and we'll address it in a future video. So I don't want you to think that I'm dodging you. I just haven't had a chance to look at Lionsgate's numbers yet. But Trip here says, do you think a park themed to mythology would work for Disneyland's third gate? I think it would work beautifully for a third gate. Mythology would be amazing. You can incorporate a lot of IP with that. I mean, you can technically even incorporate franchises like Star Wars. Star Wars is heavily rooted in mythology. And we have already Galaxy's Edge, but why not have a different take on a Star Wars land? That would be pretty dope. You can do Hercules. I know George and our friend Karik would love that, right? A Hercules land. Mythology would be perfect. I mean, there's so much you can do there. You can even put in maybe like Wakanda and franchises like that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there. I would actually like that a lot. What about you, Mr. Italiano? Absolutely. Would you be down for like a mythology part?
I would actually, because more. I think it would work in that kind of environment, because Disney wanted to utilize heavily on mythology with Animal Kingdom, with Beastly Kingdom. They wanted to do an attraction with dragons and unicorns, possibly centaurs. They were gonna dive deep into a lot of like mythical creature type things. And but being that they would probably lean more towards a heavy IP setting, Hercules. I mean, you can't go wrong with Hercules.
No, you could do Hercules. You can do Araya, the Last Dragon. I think that would fit under mythology. There's a lot you can do with that theme. It's broad enough that you could. The sky is really the limit, you know. So excellent question. Theme Park Conductor in the house. Everybody, go check out Theme Park Conductor's channel on YouTube. Friend of the channel, we had him on just the other day talking about the price hikes here on, at Disneyland Resort. But Conductor, it's always good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us today. CSRS is back. CSRS, and again, CSRS always asks amazing questions. Love what he brings to the table. How much of the symbol lot will be taken up for the first phase? And while Disney will probably aim for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge size lands, ooh, that's a mouthful. Could there be an Avengers campus size land or two as well? Yeah. So here's the thing, CS. I think that the first land will see. I go back and forth on the Avatar thing. Probably Pandora, I guess. If they don't put it in Hollywood Land, it's definitely going to go into the symbol lot. So let's just say hypothetical, CS, that we're going to get Pandora in the symbol lot, right? The Pandora at Animal Kingdom is about, I think, 10 or 11 acres ish. Mm-hmm. The symbol lot, from what I understand, is like 25, 30 acres. So yeah, Pandora would take up a good size. It would maybe take up maybe a little less than half of that space. So I think you're probably going to get a Pandora, something like that, and then maybe some smaller lands to kind of flesh it out. You don't want to use all your space up like right away. And if you have too many of these big lands, you're going to eat it up real quick. So yeah, I think it'll be a mix of big lands like Pandora, and then you might get, like you were saying, some smaller lands like Avengers Campus. That way you can really get like a nice variety in there. That's kind of the best way to do it, but we'll see what approach they go in. But what do you say, Taliana?
You know, I'm starting to get to thinking if Disney is actually enjoying driving us nuts of not telling us where any of these projects are going. Because like one minute it's like, oh yeah, it definitely seems like it's going into the Simba parking lot. No, now it seems like it's going into Hollywood. Like we're jumping like so like back and forth like a ping pong ball. It's just like, I think Disney's just like sitting back and they're just like
laughing.
Yeah, they're like watching us like the Truman Show.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I just wish that I was hoping we would get some of that information at D23, but maybe Disney doesn't really even know. That's the thing. Yeah. We don't even know if maybe they're not sure yet. But go ahead, Italiano. What do you think?
But yeah, as far as the question, which again, great question, CSRS. I personally feel like they would definitely want a Galaxy's Edge size land. But also too, I think that they would consider doing some small, when we say mini lands, not necessarily like tiny lands, but just something that's more not as big in scope, so to speak, where they can fit multiple IPs in this amount of land. Because I believe it was who said it? Was it Bricky? I can't remember if it was Bricky or I think it was Bricky. He said that it was the Simba parking lot is like what, like a quarter of Disneyland Park or something
like that. Yeah, it's a good size. I mean, I think it's like 25, maybe 30 acres. So that's a good chunk. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you want to be able to have expansions on this property for like years and years to come. So they're going to want to be real smart as to how they kind of utilize that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Next question is from the birthday boy, Mr. Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. This is a 3-parter, but this is a good question, Matthew. This is a great question, actually. Do you think the anti-Disney fervor is now starting to spread to other major studios like Universal and Warner Brothers? I honestly fear one day people will eventually realize that many of the mistakes made by Disney over the past few years don't apply exclusively to them anymore. And well, I think they already know that. I just think a lot of people that report on the anti-Disney news, they know where the bread and butter is. They know where the clicks are. So that's why they focus on Disney. But I think these people are very, very smart. And they know exactly that it's not just Disney. It's absolutely not just Disney. And even though they can't bring themselves to admit it, many online grifters secretly feel that way about not only Disney, but Hollywood as a whole. And if the fervor spreads beyond Disney, it may become even more dangerous. Okay, so here's my thing on this. I think that Disney is improving. Okay, Disney, look, their movies are starting to make money again. You know, we have Inside Out 2. Moana 2 is probably going to make, you know, a good amount of money. Deadpool and Wolverine obviously made a lot of money. They're ramping up investments in the theme parks. As Disney improves, a lot of these, as you call them, Matthew, grifters, are going to have to pivot to something else to report on, because you really can't. There's only, you know, if Disney is obviously winning, right? If they're obviously making gains and obviously improving, they would look kind of silly to keep talking about how this company is going under. So they can't do that. And they're not going to do that. They're going to have to pivot, whether it be to video games, whether it be to Warner Brothers, which, by the way, Warner Brothers is going through some stuff right now with Joker 2. It had a massive drop off the second weekend, but they're going to have to pivot. You know what I'm saying? You can't ignore reality. And if Disney does improve and their numbers are improving, there's only so much you can say, well, this company is in trouble. I mean, at a certain point, it just kind of looks a little bit disingenuous. So yes, they will pivot, Matthew, to other studios. They will pivot to other industries, gaming, whatever they have to do. But I think that as Disney improves, you're going to see much, much more of that. What say you, Mr. Italiano?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it almost became this kind of way of the land, so to speak. That it's like with any little thing, you know, it's like, okay, Disney is, Disney doom and gloom. Disney is failing. Disney is corrupt. Disney is going to go under, and it's like, yeah, when you look at the bigger picture, it's, look at all these other studios, look at all these other companies. And a lot of people don't really like to talk about it, because it's almost like when you hear someone say about Warner Brothers, it's like, oh, okay, it is what it is. But when people say Disney, then it grabs your attention.
It pushes Disney. Disney is a franchise that pushes people's emotional buttons. There's a lot of legacy there. There's a lot of, childhood memories and things like that. So people know that, right? If you're making content, that, and you're going to try to, unfortunately try to capitalize off of that. So that's why you see so much of the focus on Disney, because that's what gets the eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? It's like Trip Johnson was talking about Lionsgate. It's like, yeah, Lionsgate probably had a bad year. I got to look at it. I don't know the exact numbers, but they probably did have a bad year. But you don't see a lot of people reporting on that. Why? Well, there's not that emotional connection, and it's not as sexy. It's not as sexy to report on Lionsgate's missteps as it is the Mouse House and Bob Iger and all this stuff, right? So, but anyway, fantastic question, Mr. Matthew Murr.
It's like one of my favorite lines in the film Jaws, when the mayor is talking to Chief Brody at the beginning of the film, when he says, someone says Barracuda, they're like, what? Where? When someone says shark, you got a public panic on your hands on the 4th of July.
Yeah, right, exactly. Starship 824 here says, Starship, it's good to see you, and thank you so much for being a member. I did get your DM, by the way, Starship, on Instagram, so I'm going to get back to you on that. Absolutely. Starship here says, Disney is so broke, they have all the top films of the year and their parks keep making tons of money. LOL. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of reports that this weekend has been very busy at the Disneyland Resort, right? They're investing, Starship, in the parks again. I know there's a lot of controversy over like the Rivers of America stuff over there at Magic Kingdom and all that, and even, some controversy with Monsters, Inc. and where that's going to go. But there's a lot of investing that they're putting into these parks. They are busy. The films, like we said earlier, Starship, are making money. Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, Moana 2 is likely going to make a lot of money. So yeah, exactly. They're so broke, It's kind of a silly argument at this point. And that's why Starship, a lot of people are going to have to pivot with a lot of their content, because at a certain point, you just look like you're ignoring reality at this point. You can only spin it so much, you know what I'm saying? Teo here says, with the first sailings of the Disney Treasure starting very soon, how hyped are you about it? Any plans to book a sailing on it soon? George, the Disney treasure. What say you, sir?
So I am very excited that the treasure is almost close to being setting sail for its inaugural and maiden voyages. But I have to say I am very curious of the new ship in general. I think I'm gonna wait a little bit on the treasure. I'll probably be going on the Destiny first before the treasure, because as of right now the prices are so astronomical. It's like, I think when I checked it was like 7,000 for 2 people for a 7 night, which is that's pretty steep. But again, will I eventually go on it? Absolutely, but not anytime soon. I do have a booking on the Magic next May, and then possibly another one late fall into winter of 2025, or possibly early 2026. We're still configuring that. But then after that, it's probably going to be the Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for these new ships. I've done 2 of these cruises now. Where I did the Wonder and the Wish with this fine gentleman on the Wish. And then I went on a family trip on the Wonder. The Disney cruise line is such a special experience. It's so unlike anything that you'll really ever experience. The cast members, the crew are so beyond helpful and so beyond nice. It really does feel like a family. The whole thing about being on the ship with the same people kind of helps and feeds into that family element. Like we were saying, George, like with the restaurants and stuff, every night you have the same wait staff. So it's like they know your preferences. They know, hey, you like a slice of lemon in your Coke. So they do that for you automatically. And it's like, it's just a great feeling. The cruise line is just so A+.
It really is.
Yeah. So I'd like to try the treasure. I'm very hyped for all these new ships. I don't know when I'll get around to going on the treasure. But I hope to eventually. I mean, hopefully. So we'll see. Matterhorn Mania, love the Grizzly Peak chats. Well, thank you, Matterhorn. We love doing those videos, man. We love kind of like, deep diving into the possibilities and the speculation and all that stuff. It's fun. Do you think there'd be space to add a minecart coaster running alongside the Rapids? This was a rumor a long time ago. I remember hearing this a while back. There probably is, but you might have to maybe take out the Redwood Creek. I lost George. You might have to take out the Redwood Creek challenge trail and put maybe the queue area and all that stuff, or even a show building over there, and then have it kind of go over and wean around and careen through the mountain, right? So I think it's possible. Do I think they're going to do it? Probably not. And one of the big reasons why probably not is because Grizzly Peak doesn't really have an IP. Okay, so I don't think Grizzly Peak is in jeopardy, but I think that they're not going to really go out of their way to build any new attractions in an area where they really can't tie an IP to it. I think there's a lot more there's bigger priorities. There's bigger fish to fry, so to speak, with Disney. They want to get, obviously, Avatar in there. They want to do their MCU stuff. They probably want to do something with Zootopia and DCA. There's a lot of big hitting IPs that they're going to hit first before they even consider something like a Grizzly Peak coaster. But I would love that Matterhorn Mania. I think that'd be really, really cool. Really, really cool. Teo, thank you for joining us, Teo. We appreciate you, brother. George and OG. And I'll ask George. We'll come back to this for George's list, Teo. Don't worry. When he comes back, you guys make a trip. You guys made a trip report. You guys make a trip report to Disneyland Resort. What's your go-to drink? You always have to get alcohol or non-alcoholic. Okay, so I don't really have a go-to drink, but I do have a couple that I actually do enjoy. There was one, and I haven't been to Lamplight in a while, but when it was the Cove Bar, this is back in the day, there was a drink called the Black Pearl. That drink was, man, that would put some hair on your chest. Absolutely. That was a crazy one. I used to like the Black Pearl quite a bit. I'm not sure if they still have it though at Lamplight Lounge. I think they might, but I'm not 100% on that. Also at Trader Sam's, there's a Schweitzer Falls. I think that's what it's called, which is really, really good. And that one has kind of a fruity kind of taste to it. And that one actually you can get the Schweitzer Falls alcohol or non-alcoholic. When I went there recently in June with the one and only Jay Shear, Modern Mouse, and the Italiano. I got a Schweitzer Falls and told them no alcohol. I quit alcohol back in May, Teo, so I don't drink anymore. So I got a non-alcoholic version. So you can do it either way. But the Schweitzer Falls is really, 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 really good. So yeah, definitely recommend. Let me go ahead and we'll do Googamp 32. Where would a hypothetical? Oh, actually, George is back. Hold on one sec, George. What's your go-to drink, brother, at the resort? When you go to Disneyland, do you have a go-to drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
One of my favorite drinks is, first of all, I do apologize, folks. I just had to step out for a few minutes, but my favorite drink actually is the Italian margarita over at Naples in downtown Disney. Man, you get over there during happy hour. I ended up having 4 of them and decided that it was a good idea to go on Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Which, by the way, I was fine. I was okay. I could definitely hold my alcohol, but I mean, I was risking it.
It was funny. I actually got a call from the Italiano. I was in my Uber and I got a call from the Italiano. The Italiano is always a nice guy, but he was like super, super like energized. And like, I could tell you were kind of soft, but you weren't like tore up drunk, but you were like feeling really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
and really quick, cause I ducked out with, about asking if there would be like a mine cart like intertwined with the rapids.
Oh yeah.
That would be a very interesting concept. I love when Disney could have that opportunity with intertwining rides. They were supposed to have that with in Adventureland. They were supposed to have like a mine cart based off of Temple of Doom, where it would also intertwine with Indiana Jones Adventure and the Jungle Cruise. But the problem with that was if one went down, they all went down. So that would have been an operations nightmare. But I also love in Fantasyland over at Disneyland how they kind of intertwine the Storybook Land canals with Casey Jr.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. So, I mean, if it was possible, I think it would have been in Grizzly Peak's best interest, especially because it would keep it around longer. I just don't know if they would consider doing that now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of made the point too with the Grizzly Peak thing, George, when you were gone. It was like, I feel like Disney has a lot of fish to fry right now. They want the big IP. Yeah. And there's not a whole lot of big IP that you can kind of put into that Grizzly Peak area. So they're going to do the Avatar, the Marvel, the Zootopias, the Frozens, and all that stuff long before they consider anything for Grizzly Peak, Absolutely. I don't think Grizzly Peak is in jeopardy. Like a lot of people think that Disney's going to get rid of this area. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I just don't think it's going to be a priority for them because there's just not a lot of IP potential there. Mr. Googam 32 says, where would a hypothetical Disneyland Canada go? Oh man. See, this is the thing, Googam. I'm not familiar with Canada. You would have to ask.
I did highlight Seymour's comment with it.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me go ahead. I was actually just going to recommend Seymour because Seymour is a Canadian, a nice Canadian guy, Mr. Seymour Duck here. Niagara Falls would be the perfect choice. It was supposed to be the first Disney theme park location before changing their mind. That's interesting. That would be beautiful, actually. Absolutely beautiful. That'd be cool to have a Canadian Disney park. Would you support that, Mr. Italiano?
I would actually. Actually, I was just talking to OG before we went live, and as much as I love the domestic parks, I'm kind of itching to get over to an international Disney park and see kind of like what they're, get a new different kind of feel. And we are aiming eventually to go over to Tokyo, not just for Disney, but just in general, right. to see some of the culture, the land, the legs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, George and I really want to do international parks. It's fun to because it's not just a Disney thing. Like we're experiencing the culture, like you were saying, George, right. And the food, and I've never been international. Well, actually, I take that back. I have gone international one time. I went to Mexico on a Disney cruise. That was it.
You totally missed it, did you?
What did you say?
I said get the land, the legs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Evan would like that. He's a leg guy. He mentioned that in the members chit chat last night.
Yes.
No, absolutely. Mr. Trey Porter, it's always good to see Trey. Thank you so much, Trey. Longtime supporter of the channel. Always appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Is it possible to get hammered at Olga's? Yeah, not unless you're pretty wealthy, or you down one of those drinks on an empty stomach. I mean, yeah. Have you ever been hammered at Olga's, George?
I've never seen anyone get like completely, you know, completely hammered. I don't know if you could. I mean, I know they have the specialty drinks. I've had like the fizzy drink, kind of has like that fizzy, kind of like bubbly stuff. And man, that thing is like very trippy because it makes your lips tingle and everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. Ryan Turner here says OG55 drinking game. Every time George says notion, take a shot. Oh man, that could be dangerous.
That could actually be very dangerous because I use that term a lot. But yeah, I love you too, man. That's awesome because I love when people like notice certain traits about me. Yep. And they could bring it up, and because it makes me feel good to the fact that, you know, you guys invest your time into watching us and getting to know us and our personalities and our quirks. So we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we love it. We love it. And actually the great thing about George would be like a drinking game that would be really dangerous would actually be every time your Pennsylvanian accent comes through. Yeah, you know, downtown Disney and stuff like that. You got to drink. Oh man, that wouldn't even be safe.
I'd have alcohol poisoning.
Oh, you would, bro. You would. Mr. Jay Shear, award-winning director Jay Shear, by the way. What's up?
You got to do it, OG.
I got to do it. I got to do his. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Award-winning director, Mr. Jay Shear. There he is. Yeah. Now we love Jay's family here. We're actually going to be doing a Story Geeks with Jay very, very soon. This upcoming week, all about Inside Out 2. We're going to be breaking down, deep diving into Inside Out 2. It's going to be a really, really fun show later on this upcoming week. But Jay here is asking, what's up, fellas? My question, when you think of Walt's legacy, what do you think Walt's best move was as the leader of Disney? You know what? Honestly, Jay, I think the smartest thing he did that kind of got everything going, like turbocharged everything, was Snow White. The amount of financial stress he put himself through for that movie, I think was worth it. I think that he created a whole industry with that. I mean, he created the animated feature industry with Snow White. It also sparked the entire Disney princess thing, which is a huge thing for Disney. The Disney princesses are really like the heartbeat of Disney in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the soul. It really encompasses what Disney means to a lot of people. I gotta go Snow White, and you know, without Snow White, you wouldn't have got a lot of other stuff to come after, even the parks. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can even do the parks if you didn't do Snow White. So I think Snow White was that one moment, Jay, that it was like, wow, that changed everything. But what say you, Italiano? What do you think? What was that one moment?
I'm kind of close to what yours is, and I definitely do agree 1,010%. I mean, it's, you know, that what they call Disney's folly. You know, it's the one that started it all. However, I think the best decision that I feel like that he made was actually making Cinderella. And I know that may sound kind of weird, but Cinderella actually saved the company. During the time after the success of Snow White, up until that point, he had not released a movie that was up to the same chops as Snow White. Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo. The war came, you know, a lot of his animators went, you had like the Saludos Amigos, you had the Three Caballeros.
When you say up to the chops, you mean like money-wise?
Financially,
right?
financially. Okay. Yeah, financially. They were good movies, obviously. Pinocchio's a classic. I think, you know, it aged gracefully, especially winning the Academy Award for Best Song for When You Wish Upon a Star. But financially for the company, he was losing money. As much as we love these movies, we love these characters, Cinderella actually saved the company in 1950 on the verge while he was planning for Disneyland. Had Cinderella not been released and he took a gamble with that, everything that was made prior to Cinderella, that would have been it. That would have been released with the Walt Disney Company. Nothing else would have been produced after Cinderella, and who knows what even really if Disneyland would have even came operational.
And it's crazy to me how many times the Disney Company has come this close.
Yeah.
And has pulled itself out of it, right? So it's like even like in the mid 80s. I mean, Disney was really in a world of hurt in the mid 80s. And Michael Eisner and Frank Wells comes in and animation. I mean, literally the Disney animators were working out of bungalows when they were working on Little Mermaid. They got kicked out of their own studio. I mean, Disney was in a really dark place with animation around that time period. Little Mermaid comes out, massive success. Not even just a success financially, but culturally. It impacted pulp culture in an enormous way, and it still is in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Then that sparked the whole Renaissance era with Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King and Aladdin, and and it just changed everything. And it's crazy to me how many times Disney has fallen and then got back up and has gotten stronger. And that's why, look, obviously there will be a day where Disney just can't do that anymore. Eventually the Disney company will end. Okay. Eventually it's going to happen. Right. But that's why when a lot of people doom and gloom Disney, like even recently with stuff, I'm like, I kind of like laugh a little bit because it's like, we've been here before and worse. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I know that sounds very Pollyanna-ish, but seriously, it will be okay. Disney will weather the storm. They've weathered storms before. And typically, once they weather a crazy storm, they usually come out stronger. So I'm a firm believer of that. But yeah, whether it's like you were saying, George, with Cinderella, whether it be with Little Mermaid, Disney has been here and they've come back and they've bounced back. So Arlene here, thank you so much for being a member. Oh, go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Really quick. No, I just have a question for you. So do you feel like that down the road in the future, and when I mean in the future, I mean like in the next 100 years, do you still see Disney being as Disney? Do you see it as a different form? Do you see it being bought out? Do you see them taking a full monopoly? Like where do you see it?
That's tough, man, because 100 years is a long time. You know what I'm saying? But what I can say this. If Disney doesn't evolve, they're dead in the water. They'll get bought out, and it'll be a subsidiary of some other company. Okay, Disney has to evolve with the times. I know a lot of people a lot of fans get real stuck and mentally married to Disney just staying Walt Disney Productions forever, and it's not realistic. If Disney doesn't evolve, they will die. They will go under and they will be bought out. Okay. So as long as Disney keeps trying to stay on top of of technology, on top of the trends, on top of a changing society and culture, I think they'll be absolutely fine. If they don't do that, they'll become Redbox and Blockbuster and Sears. And unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, they have to evolve. You have to evolve or you will die off. So Theme Park Horizons with a two-parter here says, I really like your idea about a Hollywood Boulevard land to the left of Buena Vista Street with two gateways on either side into Avatar and Marvel. They could keep all the facades, but remove the buildings behind the facades. They could utilize the animation building for an indoor Avengers family coaster with the entrance to the right of Pym's. Then for PhilharMagic, hopefully a new show. Yes. So basically, for those of you that didn't watch that show, like our idea was basically trying to figure out how do you incorporate if you're going to put Pandora into the area where the busload area is with Monsters Incorporated and all that, how do you make it make sense? Well, what you do, our idea was you have Hollywood Boulevard and you set it up where you're going down Hollywood Boulevard, but the backstory is you're about to experience your favorite films and walk into those worlds. So you go down Hollywood Boulevard, and then to your left would be Pandora, right? And then to your right would be the world of Marvel. Okay. And that's kind of like the way you would go about it, where instead of like a it's kind of like what Universal is kind of doing, actually, right? Like instead of like this Hollywood behind the magic stuff, what Universal is doing is they're sort of telling you like these are these movies that you love as a kid, that you love growing up, and we're gonna transport you into that world. Okay, so that would be kind of the buildup through Hollywood Boulevard, and then you lead into these various gateways into these amazing franchises that you can actually experience. So yeah, that's kind of like the premise behind our idea. And I don't know. I think that would work. We'll see. I mean, we're hearing all kinds of stuff that maybe Pandora will go into Hollywood Land, but then we're also hearing it might go into the Simba parking lot. So we'll see. What say you, Italiano? Are you still on board with this idea we talked about? Or
I am. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best route to go, especially when you're dealing with something that has really no bond connection to Buena Vista Street, such as Pandora. It just wouldn't make no sense that you're walking up to Carthay Circle, basically a replica of the theater that housed the premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and then you bank a left, and then boom, you're walking into the world of Pandora. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think if they do put it in Hollywood Land, which right now it's 50%. There's a 50% chance it can go in Hollywood Land. There's 50% chance it could still be going into Simba parking lot. But if it does go in Hollywood Land, I think that's the best route to take.
yeah, you change, you just pivot that Hollywood theme into you're going into the worlds that you love watching. So you're entering the world of Marvel, you're entering the world of Pandora, and you kind of somehow Disney can set that up on Hollywood Boulevard and make guests aware of that premise. I don't know how they could do that, but I think that would be kind of the route they could possibly go. Because if they keep Hollywood Boulevard and they keep it as this kind of backlotty kind of vibe, I don't know. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense then to have a full-blown Pandora to the left and an Avengers campus to the right. You have to sort of set that up in a different way. So yeah. We'll see. Sam Chat is in the house. What's going on, Sam Chat? Hey, OG crew, isn't it annoying when an amazing villain is introduced in a movie or show, then killed off after episode 1, such as Darth Maul or PM in Blackbeard in Pirates 4? What say you, Italiano? You're our local villains guy. What say you?
It drives me absolute nuts. And those are some good examples, Sam. Another one for me was Supreme Leader Snoke, and in the
Last
Jedi. I think honestly he was such a corrupt character that he had so much background that they could have given him and like really turn him into a full-fledged new threat in the Star Wars universe. And the way that they killed him off, I'm sorry, dare I say, they turned him in. Rian Johnson, I love him as a director, but that decision that he made, he turned Snoke into basically so vulnerable to the fact that he wasn't as strong as he was, because if he was as powerful and evil as it was proclaiming in The Force Awakens, he would have never fell for Kylo Ren's sort of betrayal, so to speak, that eventually ended his demise.
The thing about Last Jedi, I actually like that movie as a standalone movie. I do like it. But here's the problem with it. When I was in the theater, that throne room scene kind of blew my mind. I got to be honest. It kind of did. It was a dope scene. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at the time, the switcheroo, the surprise of killing Snoke and Rey and Kylo teaming up together, at that time, I'm like, this is possibly the coolest freaking thing in Star Wars ever, right? But then after that, like the morning after hangover, basically, like what just happened, then you realize, like once you realize what happened, then it becomes like, well, now what do we do? Because you just killed off the main guy. Now you have to set up a whole nother villain for the third part of the sequel. So in its own contained movie, I thought it was really dope. And in the moment, it was dope. But it really did kind of set Rise of Skywalker up for failure in a lot of ways, because there's not a whole, now JJ had to go in there and figure something out. So now, let's take Emperor Palpatine off the bench and bring him back. And now the whole thing feels really convoluted. So, like I said, like George said, I like Rian Johnson. I respect him as a director. Glass Onion and Knives Out are phenomenal movies. I just feel like with that one, it was just a lot of these directors were not working together in tangent enough. And the sequel trilogy, while each movie is decent, it didn't work well as a sequel. I mean, as a trilogy. So that's a wrap. 818 possible park announcements at D23 Brazil. George, we were just talking about this on the phone.
We were.
I hope they announce. God, can we just get an announcement on this Pandora thing? Where is it going, Disney? Let's so we can stop. Like, I at this point, I just want to know where it's going.
I honestly, with how close that D23 Brazil was to the D23 fan event that we attended in California, if they made no other announcements but just where all these projects are going, I'd be satisfied. Yeah.
Tell us where Coco's going. Tell us where Pandora's going. Now, we did have a video the other day. It's actually the video. It's up now, but it's from like a day or two ago about the price hikes. We actually, at the very end of that video, if you want to fast forward, we talk about the location of Coco. Disney released a short little Instagram reel where the leaves from the movie Coco kind of blow through like Buena Vista Street, and they kind of go through the park. And at the very end of this clip, you see Miguel standing with his guitar right in front of Mermaid. Okay, and you can see the Pixar Pal Around Ferris wheel behind him. So George and I and conductor and Mr. Webber were speculating that they were kind of giving us a hint that Coco will go onto the pier. Now that could be behind the coaster. It also, George, you were speculating it could replace Little Mermaid based on where he was standing in that clip. You want to kind of elaborate on your theory for that?
Yeah. So yeah, when you first played that clip, OG, I was thinking the first thing my eyes went to was the Pixar Pal Around, and I thought, okay, that's the obvious thing. They wanted to showcase the background for where it could be potentially going, which was behind the Pixar Promenade, behind where Incredicoaster is, where they keep the parade floats. And we thought, okay, that's pretty much a done deal. But then I was thinking the location, if they wanted to showcase more of the pier, and I could be reading into this a little bit too much, but you would think that they would have placed Miguel actually in the pier itself. Why place him across the waterway of where World of Color is, right in front of where the Little Mermaid attraction is? And I thought, well, for the longest time, I've been saying I love the Little Mermaid ride, but it just seems so out of place in that because they turned the pier into Pixar. Right. And sooner or later, when they utilize Paradise Gardens, because folks, let's be honest, those carnival/amusement rides are eventually going to end up going. The Golden Zephyr, Jumpin' Jellyfish, Goofy Sky School, Silly Symphony Swings. Eventually, that area will be rethemed, probably to Pixar, so it would give a full loop. It doesn't necessarily have to be the pier, but I feel like they will be rethemed just to Pixar. So what's left is the Little Mermaid, and I just don't know if Disney is willing to keep it there. But again, I still think where it's going behind the Incredicoaster, but it just brought up the fact that they just placed him there. Yeah. And as we constantly say it on the channel, Disney doesn't do things, there's no coincidence.
There aren't. And with a lot of these media companies, or even like if you have like a car commercial, it's these, like a car commercial is very carefully crafted, right, for what demo they want. Okay, so they're going to get the 20 to 25-year-old something male, the 20 to 25-year-old female, like everything, like the age of the people in the ad, what they look like. It's all carefully crafted to sell to a certain demographic, right? So everything is mapped out like really meticulously. And it's the same thing with like Disney. I think a lot of this stuff is when you have a little promo like that, and it's going through the park and it lands in one area of the park, Coco ride coming soon. I don't think that's like random. Okay, I think they're telling you something. It's probably going to go on the pier. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it means mermaid or it means the pier, because the way the ad, like you were saying, George, the way the ad was, it was like the camera was basically positioned in front of Mermaid, but it was facing out towards Pixar Pier. So they were showcasing the pier, but Miguel was kind of standing, technically he was standing in front of the Mermaid attraction. So it can kind of go either way. We'll see what happens. Starship here says he thinks it's a bad idea because Mermaid is one of the highest capacity interactions in the park and is one of the few dark rides in general in the park. Yeah, I personally wouldn't want to lose it either. If they can figure Coco out without removing some other thing, that would be the ideal way to go.
I will say this to Starship's comment. For me, anyways, from being in the parks a lot, it used to be high capacity. When they moved Little Mermaid to having a lightning lane, that backed up that attraction so bad that if someone had a blocked 10-day bowel movement.
Yeah.
Like literally that line is so ridiculous now because of the lightning lanes. I wish those kind of attractions, and I get it, Disney utilizes the fact of that if they're going to raise the prices, it gives them the opportunity to say, okay, well, let's add these rides in, because then people can say, well, they added this attraction on, so it's worth the money. But I feel like that there's certain rides that that aren't necessary to having the lightning lane, and Little Mermaid is one of them.
Completely agree with you on that. I don't know what they were thinking when they added lightning lane to that attraction.
But I will say, just in general, kind of like, because we moved into different questions, but going back to the original question with the Brazil one, yeah, I would be satisfied if we got announcements where these projects were going, and maybe diving deep into like what the lands are called, like going to be titled, what are some of the attraction titles that are going to be, what's going to be involved, like what are the type of ride system, ride vehicles. If that's what we got in Brazil, I'd be more than happy.
Brazil, what I'm hoping with Brazil is that it fleshes out some of the ideas that we got announced at the Anaheim Expo. So give us more detail on Pandora. Give us more detail on Coco. Give us more detail on Encanto over in Florida. Give us details on this stuff. Give us details on the Indiana Jones attraction coming to Walt Disney World. So kind of put some meat on them bones, as they say. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're going to get a major announcement at the Brazil Expo. I don't think they're going to drop like just major stuff, but I think we will see some details here and there for stuff they already did announce. And it's probably going to be very Encanto heavy because it is in South America, this expo. So I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm thinking a lot of Encanto stuff for Walt Disney World might be announced at this expo because of the location of the expo.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we'll get new news on like the Tropical Americas. As I said, they may end up announcing maybe another story living area. Again, a new port for the Disney Cruise Line. I think that's definitely going to be a high possibility. Is one of the new ships is going to have a port home in South America.
Right. It's possible. That's absolutely possible. That would be actually a great idea. Matterhorn Mania. Could we see 20th Century Fox IP like Home Alone, Night at the Museum, or Futurama in future Disney rides? It's possible. It's possible. I mean, Home Alone, probably not. I don't know what you could really do with Home Alone in a theme park experience. I don't think we're going to see anything from Home Alone. Night at the Museum and Futurama, it's possible we see some sort of theme park additions. Those are a little bit more doable in a theme park space. I don't know. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Simpsons, Futurama, animation being translated into the theme park space. Like, I think Universal did a great job with Springfield, like the best job they could do. But I've said many times before, it's a very two-dimensional world, and I don't feel like it translates well into the real world. So I'm not sure if I would really want like a full-blown like Futurama attraction. But see, I have an open mind to it. I mean, we'll see if they do it, how that would turn out. But I think Fox properties, yes, because you also have to remember Matterhorn Mania too. They spent a lot of money on Fox. It was what, $70 billion to buy Fox, and then they sold the sports assets, and it was like a $50 billion purchase at the end of the day. Bob Iger is going to want to justify that purchase as many ways as he can. How do you justify $50 billion? Well, you build another Pandora in California, right? That's a Fox property. How do you justify it? Well, you also add other Fox stuff in the theme parks, because then you have stuff to point to and said, hey, look, not only is Fox kind of feeding our streaming services like Hulu, but now we have multiple lands in theme parks across the world based on these Fox properties. The $50 billion was totally worth it, right? So you might see something like Planet of the Apes come to Animal Kingdom. You might see stuff like that. I wouldn't put it past you. Here's the other thing too. You got to remember, X-Men, Deadpool, these are Fox properties too. And we saw Disney, they double and tripled down on Deadpool at this latest expo. Deadpool had like 20 minutes of his own thing on that stage. You know, we got Deadpool over there at DCA with Wolverine. So some of these Fox properties that from Marvel and all that, you know, might see a bigger presence. We might see an X-Men attraction at DCA one day. So absolutely Matterhorn Mania. We will definitely see more 20th Century Fox. I just don't know about Home Alone and stuff like that, but Disney's going to want to capitalize on it.
Do you think Disney, it would have been a better bet if Disney bought just certain things off of Fox, like Avatar, rather than the whole Fox canon, so to speak?
From what I understand, and I could be wrong, correct me in the comments if I am, Seymour might know this. From what I understand, from what I've heard, Fox wanted to sell Fox. Like pieces of it weren't for sale, basically.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I mean, technically what they could have done is bought the whole thing and sold off a lot more than they did. They could have done that, but they didn't. They sold off the sports stuff mostly, I think, you know. So we'll see. But it's interesting. But I think we'll see more 20th Century Fox stuff. Absolutely. Mr. T.S. Wade, if Paint the Night replaces the Incredibles float, what Disney animation movie will be the new float? I don't know. If Incredibles doesn't come back, Moana, maybe?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Encanto?
Yeah, it would probably be like one of the newer. I know it's not a huge popular movie right now, but I think it would look very beautiful in like a nighttime parade form would be Wish.
Oh, that'd be gorgeous. Yeah, the movie didn't do well in theaters, but in terms of a nighttime parade, Wish would be absolutely breathtaking. Well, it's possible they do that because Magic Happens has a Sword in the Stone float. Yeah. And that's not exactly like a hot IP right now. You know what I'm saying? Slimer is in the house. Our Slimers be sliming. What's up, Slimer? It's good to see you, brother. Slimer here says, for me, the problem wasn't Kylo killing Snoke, another two-dimensional villain like Palpatine. In my opinion, the issue lies in poor contextualization of the New Republic and New Jedi Order following Jedi. That's a great point, Slimer. They didn't do a really good job with setting up this era. Like, where do we stand with the New Republic and the New Jedi Order? Where is everything sort of, where are we at right now? It just kind of throws you into this thing. I completely agree with you. There wasn't a whole lot of context going into this. And that's why I'm kind of hoping that we do get more sequel-based stuff like on streaming and other movies. I know a lot of fans don't want that, but I think that it would help the sequel trilogy to sort of like go back in there with new content and fill in the gaps, because I think it needs to be done. What say you, Italiano?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand, you know, that notion. I think, again, I don't even have a problem with Kylo killing Snoke. I just feel like the way it was done and it was so abrupt that they didn't allow him to actually have like a good enough fight. To me, I don't know. I just feel like that character could have had so much more utilization, that they could have even taken Snoke even beyond the trilogy. And again, unfortunately, to what Rian Johnson did with him, because I feel like that Rian may have looked at Snoke off of Abrams and was like, okay, I don't really care for this character. I'm going to kill him off. And then JJ had to come back in to then fix what Ryan did to his initial character. It's like, okay, well then I got to bring back Palpatine.
Yeah. Well, the thing too, yeah, I wish they would have mapped out the story. I've heard so many reports that they didn't really do this, right? I wish they would have mapped out the beginning and the end. So at least we know the end game. Where do we want to go? What's the overall end game to this sequel trilogy? If they mapped out the ending, then they can fill in the gaps to kind of get to that ending, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to map out every decision, every detail for everything the whole way. You don't want to do that. You want to have some creative flexibility, but they should have at least knew where they wanted to end up. And I feel like they didn't know. And it turned into a real convoluted mess with Rey, and she's like a Skywalker, but she's not. And then the Palpatine granddaughter thing and all this other stuff. And also they didn't take any risks. Empress Palpatine, if Rey went dark side, dude.
Yes, because I remember watching the preview and when it showed her like having the red eyes.
Dude, how hot was that,
like,
bro?
That's what they should have did. Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying if we had dark side Rey, like legitimately, like Rey Palpatine at the end of this movie, you set up a new bad guy, bad gal for the next trilogy, and it's interesting. It's an interesting turn of events.
That would have been a nice like plot twist, because then you could have had Ben Solo redeemable. He turned good from starting off bad, but it was really Rey's destiny to follow in her grandfather's footsteps and become the new Sith. I mean, come on.
It would have been so perfect. I mean, it's I don't know. Teo here says, with all the new lands comes new food options. Us foodies are going to hopefully be eating good. Imagine all the creative food options we could get for Pandora in DCA and villains for Magic Kingdom. Yes, this is one thing Universal is doing really, really well for Dark Universe. That Dracula Steakhouse is an absolute brilliant idea. You can do a Scar Steakhouse out here in Villains Land. I think a Scar Steakhouse would be awesome. But what say you, Italiano? You're a foodie. You think there's potential here?
I think honestly, villains, I feel like Pandora, because even done in Pandora, done at Animal Kingdom with Satuli Canteen, a lot of their bowls, that you can kind of get are very distinct, very unique. It definitely gives off like that Avatar Pandora kind of cuisine, but it is actually really good. I do encourage anyone who hasn't dined in Satuli Canteen, the quick service in Pandora at Animal Kingdom, highly recommend. I could definitely see that happening in DCA. However, I would love to see a sit-down restaurant in Pandora. That would be something I would really like to see. Villains, yeah, you could pretty much do. You can like create so much unique like desserts and snacks, and again, as OG had mentioned, like if you have like a type of steakhouse, you can kind of go the Universal route, like with Scar and the hyenas, with the elephant graveyard. That's what you could have. That's what you could do. You could do like an elephant graveyard steakhouse kind of thing.
Dude, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You know what I'm saying? There's so much that can be done there. There's an interesting question here. Let me pull it up real quick. BE53. Hi, what do you think of Bricky saying about saving monsters out there because Disney World getting a better one? Now, I do want to say that we do have some Bricky stuff coming very soon. So stay tuned for more Bricky. Absolutely. But we love Bricky. Bricky is a friend of the channel, 1000%. Great guy and great content. If you're not following or subscribed to Hey Bricky on YouTube, do that. He makes amazing, amazing content. What do I think about that? Yeah, he made the argument that, like, I think if we get Pandora and it replaces, what was it, George? If it replaces Hollywoodland, right?
Right.
And Disney World gets their Monsters Inc. land, Monstropolis. Disneylanders will be kind of jealous because look what we could have got in Hollywoodland instead. I have to respectfully disagree with Bricky on this. I don't want Monstropolis at DCA. I feel like DCA has too much Pixar in my opinion, already. We have Cars Land, which is a huge space, which is awesome. I love Cars Land, but it's all Pixar. You have Pixar Pier, all Pixar. We're getting a Coco Dark Ride. I'm kind of okay not getting monsters. I'm kind of okay with even losing the Monsters Inc. Dark Ride, which we all know that from that one video I did. We did, right? But I'm okay with losing Pixar and getting a different IP in there, like Avatar. I am.
No, do you think that they're heavily utilizing Pixar for DCA because Disneyland Park has more of the Walt Disney Animation Studio side rather than kind of like mix it in? It gives it a unique style that DCA would have Pixar, Disneyland would have Walt Disney Animation.
I mean, yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, I think Pixar fits better in DCA, but I just feel like for DCA, I just feel like there should be more of a mix. And I just feel like that whole back half, like with Cars Land and Pixar Pier, is so Pixar already. And then
yeah, to do the rest of the park all Pixar, yeah, that'd be redundant.
Yeah, because then you're the whole Hollywood area, or most of it will be Monstropolis now. It's just a lot of Pixar. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want to get some other properties in here. Pandora, obviously.
However, the one exception would be if they put Coco back there with a Mexican village.
Yeah. Coco should have a Mexican village. I want that added to that dark ride. I don't think they're going to do that, but they should. And Bricky in that video even mentions that you can put the Coco dark ride back there too, and create a whole little Mexican village. That's a great idea. I love that, because then you can go down Hollywood Boulevard, make a left like on Olvera Street, and you got this beautiful Mexican village, the Coco boat ride. Oh, chef's kiss, you know what I'm saying? It'd be beautiful. But a franchise, I think it would work really well in DCA instead of Monsters. If, let's just say, Pandora is going into the Simba lot, I think a good replacement for Hollywood Land would be Zootopia. Because Zootopia feels very DCA, but it's not Pixar. It's something different. So yeah. I just want a little bit more of a variety in there. I just feel there's a little too much Pixar, and I don't want a whole nother land based on Pixar. Just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of where you stand, George?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would love to see Zootopia in DCA. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, they can't do anything about it because, Shanghai Disney has, so many years on it. But here's the thing, Disney can utilize the IP in any different format that they choose to. And because Zootopia 2 is going to be coming out with a whole new different vibe, a whole new different setting, they can make a Zootopia land based off of Zootopia 2.
Yeah, no, they could, and they probably will. I mean, our Pandora is based on multiple sequels. We're getting, it's based on Way of Water, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th movie, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, if we get Zootopia, it would probably be based on the new movie. Absolutely. Jesse Adventure, thank you so much for being a member, Jesse. At the expo, the Brazil expo, I think they're going to announce a lot for Disneyland's 70th, especially with entertainment, since they won't be any new rides open by then. I would agree, Jesse. This is going to be an entertainment-heavy anniversary. That's why when a lot of fans were complaining about the price hikes, right? Well, where's our entertainment? We don't have entertainment. They're raising prices and they're cutting entertainment. Yes, but very soon we're going to get a lot of entertainment. We're going to get Paint the Night, which is probably going to be part of that 70th anniversary. We're probably going to get some new fireworks show or something like that. So entertainment is coming back. And for the 70th, it's going to be the focus, I think, because like you said, there's no new rides really. I mean, there's Tiana's, but there's no like from the ground up new rides. So they're going to have to focus on that. Starship A24, it'll be great that Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resort will both have new modern nighttime parades next year. Completely agree, Starship. And you mentioned that to me the other day on the phone, George.
I did. Yes, this will be the first time in a long time that both resorts will have a nighttime parade going off at the exact same time simultaneously on both coasts.
Yep. And Cassandra Chamberlain, thank you so much for joining us, Cassandra. We appreciate you. It's always good to see you in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us. Just rode Little Mermaid at Oogie Boogie Bash, and the ride does need some updates. I know George has some thoughts on that. What do you think, George?
Yes. I do love the Little Mermaid. I really do. But I do have issues with the attraction itself. I feel like it was made during a time of technology transition, if you will, almost where Disney, was utilizing with audio animatronics, which I absolutely love. But I feel like you can kind of see the wear and tear in the audio animatronics. Now, Ursula is breathtaking. I think she's a phenomenal audio animatronic. Ariel, on the other hand, I think honestly they kind of dropped the ball on her. Honestly, they kind of made her look like the bride of Chucky, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And our good friend, mutual friend Mindy, it always gripes her at the very last scene when Eric and Ariel are getting married that her head is disproportioned from her body. Like her body, there's like no waist,
Yeah.
and like her head doesn't like match. Like again, it's a family, ride. We're just nitpicking because we're nerds, But it's just like, but I wish that they would give us because I do love the Little Mermaid. It did spearhead the Renaissance era of Disney animation, and of course, I mean, anytime OG, you could agree with me on this, for sure. But anytime someone mentions the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, the first thing that pops into my head is the brilliant Howard Ashman.
Exactly. And that's why I really don't want them to get rid of the mermaid attraction at DCA, because I do hold a special place for Mermaid in my heart because of Howard, and that's like the first Disney movie he did. If they are going to get rid of Mermaid at DCA, then put it in Disneyland then or something, but we need a mermaid attraction. I mean, just in my opinion, if for nothing else, but to honor Howard Ashman, you know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Seymour Duck here, saying he's giving us some info on the Fox stuff. Mr. Duck says Disney needed the Fox Studios in order for the company to grow. They are now the heavy hitters for Disney Plus and Hulu. It was reported that Fox wanted to focus more on news and major live sports events. This type of programming was more resistant to the threat from online ads and streaming at the time. Yeah, so he's right. Mr. Duck is absolutely right that they needed Fox to sort of grow further in that streaming space. That was the goal. That was the mission statement, basically, when they bought Fox. And then the kind of icing on the cake was utilizing some of these properties like X-Men and Deadpool and Avatar in their theme parks. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, great. Always good to see you, Mr. Duck. Appreciate the insight. Absolutely. And Slimer says, with self-driving vehicles and automation becoming more prolific, in your opinion, what will the Disney resorts look like in 20 or 30 years? I was just thinking about this the other day when Elon Musk had that whole thing with the AI robots or whatever, which a lot of people are actually questioning if those were actually self-automated or if they were being controlled by people in the background, but that's a whole nother conversation. But let's just assume that we have free roaming robots as like the norm. It could change the game, Slimer. You could take out the animatronics in Pirates of the Caribbean and have all the pirates free roaming pirates, and have the pirates walking through the show scenes and kind of doing their thing. They're not bolted to the ground. They're literally walking through the scenes and interacting with the boats. I mean, it could be a total, absolute game changer. I mean, Walt Disney would have gone nuts for this kind of technology. So if it becomes reliable enough and mainstream enough, and Imagineering wants to go, as George says, balls to the wall, free roaming pirates in the attractions, free roaming animatronics in Haunted Mansion. You can do free roaming in Rise of the Resistance. I mean, it could change the game. You don't have to bolt this stuff down anymore. I think it'd be amazing. What say you, George?
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like taking, because this was always Walt's. This was always kind of like Walt's vision, where he wanted to implement, technology that was utilized in real life, that you would be using it for every day, and utilize it in his, not even just in his parks, but in his films, in his television series, and what have you. He always, Marty Sklar said it best, where he had one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and I greatly agree with that, because he was always an optimistic person, where it was like he thought like an engineer, but he had like that innovating, imagining kind of way to him. But I think honestly, I think this in a way is kind of honoring Walt without actually honoring him, because he was a firm believer of that.
Yeah, no, well said, well said. Walt loved technology, you know what I'm saying? But it was crazy because he loved technology, but he was also obviously a creative genius. So he knew how to implement it in really creative and fun ways. He would go nuts for the technology we have nowadays. Absolutely nuts. Keegan, it's always good to see you, Keegan. Thank you for joining us, sir. I've seen you in the chats lately. Appreciate you. Why can't Disney use Roomba tech to give us wandering droids? Well, they could. I mean, I think that would be awesome. I think they absolutely could do that. And I think they should do that. You know, Galaxy's Edge and things like that would be amazing. Cassandra said, if a new ride could be added to Galaxy's Edge, what would you like to see? What would you like to see, George? Galaxy's Edge. We're getting a new Mando mission for Smuggler's Run.
And that'll be cool. And I hope they utilize it well. I really do. But I would love a permanent Mando Grogu just ride. Like not something that gets added into Smuggler's Run or Rise of the Resistance or what have you, but I would just love to see just a full-fledged storyline of Mando and Grogu in an attraction.
That'd be awesome. With like a little Grogu animatronic and the whole thing. It'd be great. It'd be great. Mr. Tech Bear, friend of the channel, Kev. And thank you, Kev, for being a member for 3 months. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Been friends with Kevin for a really, really long time. Appreciate you, sir. What's up, homies? George needs more color in his wardrobe. That is all. George, you going to update, dude? You going to get some pink for us?
No, here's the thing. Black has always been my color. I don't know what it is. Like, I love my dark colors. Like, for instance, like, well, I will even say like even like a dark navy blue, like a dark hunter green. I like dark colors. I'm not a very bright, vibrant kind of guy. I never was. Especially with reds. I'm not a fan of wearing red. But yeah. So I like my dark colors, and especially with black. It's like black goes with anything, really.
Yeah,
and I'm very. What's that?
It matches your chest hair too, right?
It does, yeah. And I'm very metro. I have to like match like everything to where it's like it looks well. Like I can't wear like a sky blue shirt and red shorts and like no, like I'll look like an oversized Skittle.
Okay, so there's actually a content creator who I plug on here every now and then. His name is FitX Fearless. FitX Fearless. And he actually talks about that, George. He talks about like men shouldn't wear more than like 2 colors. So black and gray, or black and white, or blue and gray, or whatever, right? But you shouldn't wear more than 2 colors.
Yeah.
It's like a fashion.
It kicks off my OCD. It really does. Like I'm just like I'll look at my shoes and I'll be like, if they're brown and I'm not wearing some sort of like beige or tan in my outfit, I'll be like, nope, I'm not wearing these shoes, because I'm not wearing 4 different colors in one outfit.
Yeah, and make sure you check out FitX Fearless. He's an amazing content creator. Does a lot of like life coaching stuff. Really cool guy. Teaches you about fashion and men's grooming and all that stuff. So it's for the men. It's for the men, but he does great content. I've been watching him for years. Ryan Turner is in the house. The best spot for Coco is Hollywoodland bus area if they really want to give a great themed mini land, and then they can add in Encanto down the road. I mean, that would be cool. You know, like I said, our friend Hey Bricky had a great concept for that whole back area of the Coco Dark Ride with the Mexican village kind of replacing that courtyard with Hollywood and Dine, and where PhilharMagic is and all that could become a little Mexican courtyard or a little Mexican village. That's the way to go, Ryan. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. We'll go ahead and take Teo's question. What do you honestly think the animatronics to screen ratio will be for the Avengers e-ticket? Maybe an Iron Man animatronic, maybe one big one on the ride. Oh, this is a tough one. I think we'll get more. I think we'll have more than Transformers at Universal. I think it'll be less screen based than Transformers. I'm calling that right now. I think there's a good possibility we get a giant King Thanos animatronic as like the show-stopping finale. Yeah, I think it's gonna be mostly screens though, to be honest with you, with maybe a handful of animatronics in there. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? But with a franchise like Marvel, I mean, you kind of have to do screen based. You kind of have to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can sprinkle in animatronics, but you need screens in there. You know, even Universal, when they built the superhero island, their signature attraction is screen based. It's hard to do animatronics with superheroes flying around and things like that. But what say you, George?
Yeah, with Marvel, you might be able to get away with like a few characters, kind of like with like the Hulk or Thanos, you know, some of those, you know, but when it comes to a lot of like facial recognition characters, um, you could do that, but you have to be very careful because you want them to look as authentic and real as possible. And I feel like with Marvel, with such like a fast paced kind of movement that you'll be going through, I think it honestly, as much as I dare I say it, I think it works better with more of screens. Again, an animatronic here or there, maybe even like in like the queue line or what have you, but I think as far as the ride itself goes, it's probably best to utilize the screens.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to have screens in there. I think you do mix it in though with animatronics. You do mix it in with physical sets, and basically at the end of the day, that's the approach. But it all comes down to execution. You know, how do you blend this stuff together? They didn't do a great job with the blending for web slingers, in my opinion. Not great. But hopefully with this Avengers e-ticket, they do a better job at that. Keegan here says Marvel rides have to have CGI just like the movies. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what they should do though for this attraction is they should somehow try to talk to Stan Lee's estate and see if they can get a Stan Lee cameo in the Avengers e-ticket.
That would be really cool.
You have to ask the family first, obviously.
Correct.
But you definitely should. Come on, Kevin. Come on, Feige. Let's make it happen, dude. Get some Stan Lee in there. We have to, right, George? You got to have Stan Lee.
You have to. It's like you can't have a proper Marvel attraction without having the greatest cameo actor ever.
Yes, we love Stan Lee. And I love that fact that Disney incorporated that plaque dedicated to him at the entrance of Avengers Campus. Yes. That's a beautiful tribute. Keegan here says speeder bike roller coaster. That'd be interesting. Would you be down for that over in Galaxy's Edge?
I would. My only concern is because of the authentic feel of how Galaxy's Edge is, which again, it needs a lot more. I don't know how I would feel about seeing a roller coaster track in there. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned, even how it's going to be done with villains. With the roller coaster, again, I'm very excited. I am a roller coaster junkie, but it has to be utilized kind of seamless and have it kind of intertwining with the land rather than just looking at a track saying, whoa, this seems completely out of place.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about execution with that. And BE53 here says Star Wars Land needs full themed restaurant. Yeah, we were actually going to get one. And they cut it. Word on the street is Bob Chapek cut it. Yeah. Slimer here says a Jabba's palace would be perfect. Oh, Slimer, it would be so chef's kiss perfect. We definitely need a Jabba's palace, 100%. Ryan Andy Hines with an awesome Stitch little profile pic. Look at that. That little Stitch profile pic actually looks like my dog. It's kind of funny. Howdy, OG. Another movie that they should have a float in Paint the Night would be WALL-E. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's actually a really, really good one. You can have beautiful little stars and WALL-E and Eve.
I could see WALL-E fitting that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, it was an absolute honor and pleasure talking shop with everybody today. We'll be back with another live stream. We're trying to plan one out for later this week before George goes on vacay.
It's been a while. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, come on. It's been at least 2 weeks. He's due for a vacation, But we are trying to get another one or maybe even 2 live shows sometime this week. But later this week, look out for that Story Geeks with Jay. We're going to be doing Inside Out 2, breaking that down. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we got a lot of great stuff coming out. Tomorrow's I don't want to ruin the surprise, but tomorrow we got a great show, right, George?
Yes, we do.
Great show. I think it'll probably drop for members tomorrow night and drop for everybody the Tuesday morning. But so we'll see. But the Italiano, where could everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram and Threads under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
I haven't played the sticky drop in forever. Let's drop a sticky. We're actually going to be seeing Kiss of Life.
We are
live in concert in a couple of months. I am so excited. I can't wait. I love Kiss of Life. Any Kiss of Life fans in the chat? Let me know. I don't know. It's K-pop. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily into K-pop, but if you're a Kiss of Life fan, let us know in the chat. Cassandra here says, George out here working hard. Give this man a vacation. George, come on. You're the hardest working man in YouTube, bro. You got to get another vacation. Matterhorn Mania. Thanks, OG and George. Great show as always. Well, thank you, Matterhorn Mania. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody in the chat. Really, really cool seeing everybody today. To spend some of your Sunday with us. We do appreciate you. But we're gonna skedaddle. But stay tuned. More content is on the way. If you have any ideas as to future topics, the Italiano and I are always welcome to new ideas. So hit us up on, well, I guess you can DM us on Twitter. I'm not on there that much anymore, but you can DM me on Twitter if you have a topic idea. You can also you can DM me on Instagram, or you can leave a comment down below and we can take it that way. But we always are open to new ideas. Also, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a member. You get exclusive content. You also get stuff early than everybody else. And our exclusive content in the members videos, a little more personal, a little more spicy. You know what I'm saying? You get a different side of OG in the Italiano.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more intimate,
But yeah, if you guys have any ideas, suggestions, opinions, as OG said, yeah, you could DM either one of us. You could DM me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads. I'm still trying to get the handle on Threads about it because I'm kind of new to it, but you could still message me there if it allows you to. It's I'm an open book. As I said, you could DM me. I could give you my personal number. We could go on a date. I could send you a shirtless pic of me. Whatever you like. I don't give a damn.
There we go. Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. We're gonna end this video like we always end this video, with the Queen. Here she is. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.